This is November the 14th, 2025. Current time is 8:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the SPY right here. The one of the last major numbers that I went over on the SPY that the math was showing more possible range was this one here, and it's like 3 weeks ago now. 664.75 was what it showed then, as 161.8% level. And Weingo hit that and made some support. It's already played with this one time, went below it one time as well. Back here on November the 7th. So this is like the second go around for it. It's showing heavy bearish action right now. Extremely heavy. You're below the bottom of average daily range. Let's see here. I forget what metric I used to, I think it's 180-day chart. Yeah, it's moved down now substantially. But the positive one deviation from the anchored VWAP on the 180-day chart is what I used last time to think that, or positive one deviation, what could possibly make some support, because back here on this day, which was 10/10, that one, it made perfect support there. So that's the only thing that I see on a longer term time frame that it can possibly make some support off of, and try to maintain this bullish momentum. We'll see what happens. Right now mine shows up as being 660.46, so I can make an alert just right above that on Thinkorswim. It's kind of cool because you can make it right above what you think will make some support, and it'll text you as well, sound, SMS, and mobile. So it will let you know even if you're away from your computer. That's one of the reasons why I like Thinkorswim so much. And you can also take this, move it up or down. If you change your mind about it later on, you can move it where you want to. But right now it's showing up as 660.46. So 660.50 will be more likely, a zone that other algorithms will be viewing and seeing. And if those 664 wants to make any support at all, then it'll tag it, bounce around it, maybe go barely below it. That's what it did the other Thursday or whatever. And that's what it did. It made perfect support, and then it bounced around it, and then it went barely below it, and then it made more of a significant recovery after that. And that is just algorithms in full effect. But as far as many algorithms that are day traders, right now you're already below the -3 deviation. This bar here, that's -2, -3 deviation. You're already below that. So as far as the day trading algorithms, they're not going to keep on attacking this very heavily to the downside. Waiting for that 661 level may take a little while. And I think if it wants to stay in a bearish way, then all the positive players, if they see it come up 669 and then reject from there, then it will make more of a bearish tone after that. You can see how 669 made perfect support up here, and then it didn't. Anyway, you see how it works. And like I said, this is an old level. I don't like using 3-week-old levels, but it is an algorithmic goal in both directions, to the downside, to the upside. You can see how it makes perfect support, still works, still functions, even though it's a very old level. And it appears like it's gonna come down here and retest it again. Nothing but red action pretty much. But again, I think that, longer term chart, which that's not many algorithms are paying attention to the 180-day chart, policy one deviation, thinking that might make some support. But on the chart it does, so its significance is that it's happened before, so it can happen again. That's why it's worth revisiting at 661, just to see if it makes any support there, and watching in that area, just because this area's already been played with one time too, and that'll be the next one down at 661. I could go over NVIDIA. Their earnings are going to be very soon, I think Wednesday or something like that. NVIDIA is one of the largest market cap companies there is in the world, and I thought I'd just, give my 2 cents on that. I've been extremely accurate on NVIDIA before earnings on several occasions a long time ago, until this most recent just massive run it's had in the past couple of years, just non-stop, just very powerful moves. This is a 3-year weekly chart. That's powerful. Technically on a 3-year chart it's trading where it's supposed to be. Let's go to max monthly. Max monthly, you're way above positive 4 deviation. I can't remember why I had that number set up there, mark at 225.18. But anyway, that's a very high mark, and on the max monthly chart, this is why Michael Burry says, NVIDIA in particular is way overvalued, and people are not anticipating the devaluation of the processors and the computer chips over the next several years. In 3 years, pretty much any processor and chip that's made today is pretty much kaput and no longer has any value, and you have to make new ones. That could be what it is. People are going to continue to, buy chips regardless. But that's why Michael Burry thinks that, even NVIDIA, especially, particularly, is extremely overvalued. Again, like my market was 225. I can't remember why I had that, but I'm sure it's a good reason. It's probably the 1 year, 1 day chart. Well, maybe not. No, I think it's a 1 year, 1 day chart at that time. I think negative 2 deviation was down here, and positive 2 deviation was up here at 225, and now currently sits at 239, 242, something around there. 240. Let's just call it 240. So that's even way more above than what I had before. But again, I was correct a whole lot on NVIDIA many times in the past, before the massive pump it's had. NVIDIA is one of the reasons why that I even believe in this setup at all, or somewhat at all. It's just because of how well it's performed in the past. Within reason, it's showing up as being 165 to be supportive and 217 to be more resistance. By algorithms, by many algorithms, not all of them. On the higher end of the spectrum, it's going to be 249.73, which that kind of coincides with that number I had a while ago, or close to it. And on the low side, it's 132.52. This is within reason. It seems insane to think about that NVIDIA can go from 132 to 250 around earnings, which is a 90% gain if it did the full spectrum on it. 118 points, or $118 move. So there's potential, but gravitational point is going to be at 191.21. That's going to be a gravitational point, roughly. Yeah, 191 anyway. There's your gravitational point. Like as, for instance, whenever it hit 161.8% level, it came down to exactly the 50% level. And can NVIDIA do that too? Yes, it can. Its gravitation points up here. Its overbought area is 217.33. Again, you look at it in that area at the time to see if it's going to continue with a bullish trend or reject from there with a bearish trend afterwards. And then if it stays powerful, typically what will happen is it'll break above this. That's 217.33, and then it'll come down to it and that'll make perfect support. Even if it don't play with 217.33 to start off with, it will just smash right through it, not even play with that area period. But what may happen is 217.33 makes support whenever the algorithms see that it is powerful, and then they buy into it here, and then they push for 249.73, which that's going to be the all-time highs again. So algorithms exit before then, around then, and then if it gets up to it exactly and barely breaks above it, then they see, more sell pressure coming in after that, and then they short the crap out of it and force it back down to 191. And that is a massive move on NVIDIA. Massive, massive, massive. I mean, that move there would be like the largest market cap gain or loss ever if it does a full spectrum. That's big part of it. But yeah, right now on a conservative side, if earnings are basically what is expected or whatever, this is the gravitational point within 164 or 165 to 217. That's just what I show and what algorithms will see as well. And it's close to that price right now, 181. So I mean, you're right in the pocket. I mean, that's how it works anyway. You're not going to deviate a massive amount from that. Pause again. And I just went back and did on demand on Thinkorswim, which is another reason why this is a really good trading platform. This is Meta, and people are going to have difference of opinions than I do for Meta, and that's okay. But at earnings time or right before earnings, I plugged it into the system, like the most basic shit of what can create support or resistance in the more extremes of the two. And the extremely up to the high side on Meta is 905.41. The extreme lower end of the spectrum for Meta is 568.96. So that can create some support there by algorithms. So that's worth looking at that time. But there's, I don't know, you can't tell anybody anything. Basically, they're going to have their own opinions. But that's to me, that can algorithmically that can create some support potentially, and that's based off the most recent earnings. So again, that's where I'll be looking at possibly seeing if Meta's worth a snag in that area or not. And I can show how to do this. Just your Fibonacci scale, get a +1 deviation, +3 deviation down to -3 deviation, and do the opposite two of the spectrums, and that's going to give you approximately what is expected in more extremes. This is AMC for earnings. 191 and 373 was kind of expected by algorithms. I'll show you the chart live. Even AMC, like the 0% level, you can see how it plays with that level several times. It's a 30-day chart. I know that's probably all crappy looking, but you can see how it plays with this level several times in attempts to make some support, but never can do full breakout. So algorithms give up on the potential for longing that. That's why you can do this on a bunch of different tickers, and then whenever you're at 161.8% level on either direction, then you can possibly hop into a trade, potentially, again, it's all relative. You gotta see if it's worth getting into or not. But I was set an alert at $1.93 on AMC. I don't know if that's the all-time low or not. All-time low is $2.33. So that'll be the all-time low. I can show you something else too. This is FinViz 4. AMC information. That's going to show your short float and short percentage. In interest, there's 49 million shares on AMC that's shorted. Settlement date of 10/31. That's the last time when it was for sure correct. Short ratio is 2.68% or 2.68. That's not huge. And short float ratio of the total outstanding shares 9.65%. That's nowhere near GameStop as peak is like 105% or something crazy like that, which is supposed to technically be impossible. That's why GME did what it did. This is still significant. I mean, that's still 49 million people that can be squeezed out of their position, especially if panic ensues. So it's definitely worth a watch at that area. Will it possibly have some momentum at some point? Probably so. Will I be right? I don't know. That's just when I would be more interested in watching, because again, that's going to be way below the all-time low, and that's basement bottom bargain price. I'm sure AMC still has plenty of shares that they can just drop on unsuspecting investors or whatever to dilute the company and screw the movement over of squeezing the hedgies. But that's in my opinion, if there was going to be some movement, and that's where I'd try to look at it at that time. Like all my setup shows, you're still in a downward trend. GameStop actually had a positive earnings last time, 0.25, and you can see how the stock bumped up after that. I think whenever Roaring Kitty was trying to get back into the game of GameStop, I had it mapped off and what I thought he should do with it, or what I would do if I was him. Which everybody has their own opinion. Basically, whenever it had that massive spike before, I did it all in hindsight, and 161.8% low at that time, which I think, I don't know, anyway, I think it's after that spike. It's on this day whenever I actually did it, and I said, it has potential to go up to, $60.68, with 100% was at 44.19. You can see how it spikes up to it, and then kind of settles down around that. 50% level was also, a decent possible bounce. 161.8% level from that one, let's see here, was $15.92. It's trading at $20.58 right now. It's still in a downward trend right now, but that would be the further end of the spectrum, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, that'd be better spot to possibly get into it at. I can do like 30-day, 30-minute chart and kind of show you there. I'd probably rather go with a much higher percentage of movement potential. From here, 1463 is right now. And earnings aren't till next month on the 9th, I think. So it's still early yet to even try to gauge what it may do. Let's see what else we got. Here's a good example in hindsight. I don't think this moved too much. This is for Sony after earnings, or before earnings. If you would have mapped it off, then you would have possibly thought that $30.94 would be some resistance, and sure enough, $30.87 became some resistance. It also tried to bounce off the top of the average daily range. That's a very powerful, more or less powerful move. so it can possibly keep on breaking above that too if it wants to stay powerful. I was going to go over, today is the 14th, right? Yeah. I didn't know Mitsubishi even had one in the United States here. And that's not a massive move. Their market cap is still $180 billion. So the potentials on that, you're already in the upper echelon of what it typically could do for, like, just whatever's expected on earnings. That's not massive, but I mean, I don't know, this for that large of a market cap company, from top to bottom, that's 23% move. That's significant. I could just set an alert for this just for giggles and go over it in the future. I don't know why I have to record all this, but I am. I can just go over Bitcoin too, just for giggles. I've never been a proponent that Bitcoin is like the next dollar or whatever. I agree with Warren Buffett's take. It just makes logical sense to me, but logic doesn't always win out in markets. There's the tulip craze and that whole fiasco, etc., other bubbles and stuff that popped. But I think anyway, realistic price for Bitcoin, in my opinion, that it can possibly make some support right now is at 82,856. That's realistically what could make some support. That's my 2 cents worth. That's because you are in a downward trend right now. Yeah. On the 1 year, 1 day chart, you're trading way below where you're supposed to be at. But that'll also be above the yearly low too. So I think people waiting for the yearly low will be sorely mistaken, because algorithmically, even on the 1 year, 1 day chart, negative 3 deviation is at 81,881. So that will be support too. But this previous low, you got, if it did come down that low, then you got like other algorithms that pick it up here, other algorithms that pick it up here, then algorithms definitely going to pick it up at the most previous low as a retest. So those are definitely 3 levels of worth looking at that time. But again, this is just like SPY, on the day. Yeah, on the day, I mean, it's still on a downward trend, but you got so much stuff going against you to try to continue to keep on shorting that it's not extremely wise. I think it's funny too that Michael Burry pulled all his investments out of the markets, and then now, like, we've had some of the worst days in the market we've had in a while. I'm checking on SPY again. But if you are playing like, more dangerous levels, what you can do is you can wait for a possible green candle, which, there's always going to be reasons why, you'll be chopped out or, cut your legs out from under you, whatever you want to call it. But again, right now, like I said earlier, it's not the most wisest time to take a short position. The rules that I have is whenever you're above the 9 moving average, it's perfect one. With the full body with the green candle, that's when you can start thinking long. Whenever you get a red candle and you're breaking down below the 9 moving average, and you can think not long anymore. You either go short or whatever. It just happened to just fake you out there. But it did create more resistance there regardless. And then it decided to break down even more so. Once it breaks down below the ATR trailing stop, then you can think more bearish possible action coming in. And then once it breaks above the ATR trailing stop, this level here, then you can think more positively as well. But if you was playing like in here at the time, then as soon as it starts to break above, then you've already had a new low of the day, and you see more buy action coming in, and this, let me zoom in even further. You can actually see the crap. But once you see like, nothing but buy volume coming in, then you think bullish, 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 bullish until this last minute candle, and that's not going to show up accurately right now anyway. There, it just closed. And now it's like, well, it should have done closed. Anyway, yeah, that last one, it shows up nothing but sell volume, but not much volume, period. So then your possible bullish move is over with. Now it may revert back down. Again, like, you got to let the actual candle close to tell for sure. But it may try to become bearish, but you've not had the other rules that have been met. Needs to break it below the 9 moving average with the red candle. Preferably, it'd be nice if like you had a perfect doji candle to switch positions from long to short. Those help out too. That's pretty much the only candle pattern that I really have seen that actually function to some degree. This is a good example though why it's more difficult to trade when it's already too low for the day, unless you're going to try to jump on a bullish wave. You can see how powerful the bullish wave is. And if you're trying to short again by the rules that I use down here, then you can be chopped up very quickly. At 9:02 you had nothing but buy volume there, so it would have picked it up to the 9 moving average at least, and then there's nothing but buy volume in 9:03, and currently you got 40 seconds left for this candle, and that's still more of a powerful way also. That's why I said it's not wise to continue to short when you're so low on the day, unless there is an actual major catalyst that's driving it. But again, like that one was nothing but buy volume, so that I can see that, I can really pick it up and I can really buy into it, and whoever's shorting has to cover their position potentially. But again, this may play out for a long time today. The next 661 may make some support, but that's not a typical level that I use. Volatility index is good to look at in hindsight as well, how it moves and operates sometimes. It was getting bottlenecked up down here. That's usually whatever the ticker is, and that's usually a good sign. It hit the top of the average daily range perfectly, hit the bottom of it perfectly, and you had a breakout. You had a breakout here, then it came down and it probably is, one of these is going to be in between the top and bottom average daily range. I can play with it. Let's see, might be this one here, roughly that one there, maybe. Excuse me. But it's getting bottlenecked up down there, which is, some people call it stagnation, some people call it consolidation. I consider that consolidation. That's why you had more volatility spike in that area, and then vice versa. Then once it comes down below the bottom average daily ranges, then you're trying to spike up, then you're going to break back down, and then you're consolidating again, same sort of phase, and then the bottom average daily range steps up and so does the top one. So then you're thinking more of a bullish way in whatever ticker you're in. This just so happens to be the VIX right now. You've come into a similar situation again where it bottlenecks, consolidates, and you're going to get another spike. How strong it'll be is a different story, though. To me, like, all of this, every bit of this here is a very bullish way. There's not even one spike down on a 30-minute time frame that's even started to move downward. But yes, you're above where technically you're supposed to be at in volatility. All I can do is expect, what can be, max or minimum of pain level. And the thing that sucks about the VIX is it don't show my standard deviations anymore from anchored VWAP. It don't do that on here, but you can see the flow anyway. The consolidation, the spike, and another spike, then consolidation, spike. So if it wants to do this type of deal here, then this one has already outpaced this previous one. So this one will be a huge spike, and then it will pull back down, and then it'll be even, if it does about half whatever spike this is, the move, then it's going to continue being a bullish way, which means a bearish way for the overall markets. I've seen somebody go over that earlier, and that's just something I've seen a whole lot. You can see when in April the markets were the most volatile that they've been in quite a while, that you're going to get a pullback just on a statistical basis, that it's not meant to stay up that high. If it want to do something like that again, it's off my charts. That's how exceptional it is. My chart goes up, realistically, goes up to 39.44 right now. That's all within reason. Does that happen a lot? No, it don't. But can it happen? Sure. And to the downward side, if we want to be extremely bullish market, then even -4 deviation doesn't exist. You're -$3. So that don't even exist on this chart. That one's off the scale, off the chart. If it wanted to do the opposite from there before, then it'd be significantly lower and into the negatives. It'd probably be like -$30 or so on the opposite end of that spectrum. But you can see little deviations in the market and stuff, and where it may push up, whatever. On a 30-minute time frame, it's also double topped, but it looks bullish. It may pull back exactly the same way again and do that same exact setup. The U-shaped breakout, if it does a cup and handle, I know people believe in that crap too. If it just stagnates for the rest of the day, then possibly Monday you'll have extremely a volatile market. I don't believe in cup and handle crap. I've not seen it pan out good enough to reliably believe in it. Here's a level on Tesla that's kind of worth looking at possibly today. It's really close to that right now. I know on a 1-year, 1-day time frame it's not showing up correct. But but it is getting close down to there. The current price of $384.80. What was at one of these earnings on 4/21, what I had for potential top resistance was 370.67-ish. 369.51. That's what I had as resistance. I made perfect resistance pretty much. And what it does in between there is, totally different gravitational points. It's supposed to be down here at 250. It never did do that. But anyway, previous resistance can become support. That's a rule that holds up several times in the market, and I have an alert set for that as well. So that will be worth watching today as well. And Walmart just about crapped in the bed this morning. It's taken a huge dump. It is at the valuation point on the statistical mean, 50% level from the earnings time. If you was a wise investor, whatever, or if you was shorting from up there, or if you want to go long, now is the time where longs will be possibly entering into Walmart, and you can see how it like interacts with it, pretty much perfectly. Especially the reason why it's worth even looking at all, or thinking it may work, is because it's worked most previously in the past off that same level. I had 107.75 as potential resistance for Walmart, and then you can see how it made perfect resistance here, broke above it a little bit. I think they said something about AI at that time, and that's why it bumped up slightly above it. But then you can see how the price interacts with it and then rejects, and then ultimately today it comes down to the 50% level. So it's not a massive drop from 107 to 98, but it is proof in the pudding of how statistics and probabilities and standard deviations does work in markets by algorithms. But you can see how it gets like immediately purchased up. To the freaking penny, just about. But will it last forever? This is also pre-market. Anybody that had a put contract, they cannot cash out now. They can only cash out whenever market opens in about 15 minutes. So all those people, expecting, at least this gravitational point or algorithm set it for it, or other people, don't take a rocket surgeon and do this and do back testing and see what works. But those people that have puts are ready to cash out. They've been holding on to it for not an extremely long period of time. That they are in profit, so that they're willing to take their profit here very shortly. I was really concerned, like one of the things that excited me years ago about the stock market was trying to predict which company would be the highest gainer on the day. At that time, pretty much every day, like there's at least one stock in the market that went up like over 100% in a day, which that's not totally uncommon today by companies like CDTX. This is a therapeutics company, and they will be halted whenever market opens. Where is the volume at? Oh yeah, okay, I gotta do like 4-hour chart, something like that. I don't think that's right either. It's possible they just got bought out or something like that if the volume isn't massive. No, it's 400,000 shares, million shares in 30 minutes. So yeah, that's a low market cap company. Let's see if Webull tells me more about it. Market cap is 3.3 billion. That's not tiny, but that's a massive move on that. On the 30-day time frame, you're way above where you're supposed to be trading at. It's at 218.51. Then you can go to the 1-year 1-day chart. Hell, I thought that's like a lot for that one. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe I'm just mistaken or something. They didn't have positive earnings last time, and currently right now it's trading at 217. But the way this really consolidated in the last couple hours, and this is why you gotta look at news. They have a Merck buyout offer. Well, it's not gonna give me the information on it. I have to log into it. But anyway, it has a Merck buyout offer. I'm sure that buyout offer is close to where it's currently trading at, and that's not like worth looking at right now, in my opinion, unless it's like you know more about the company that's buying them out and know that's a solid offer. A buyout offer isn't an actual concrete deal, so like if they don't take the deal, then it should come back down to somewhere around 102 instead of 218. But this company is also only worth $3 billion, so that valued them at $6 billion right there. So that doubled it overnight what it's worth. That's value. But I think Merck is a pretty good company, a pretty big company. So yeah, that one isn't worth watching right now. Again, like whatever their buyout offers them, like 210 or something like that, and if it's trading at 217, then it's not worth getting into. Whatever the buyout offer was for, I'm sure it's close to this. Usually it'll gravitate up to whatever that number is and stay there. Especially if it's like a legit deal, if they think it'll go through or whatever. If I had a company that's worth $3 billion and someone offered me $6 for it, I think I might take it. And I can take that money and invest in some other company or startup or whatever. One of the other ones of the day is WTO. Penny stock. What's it trading at now? 0.367. Yeah. It definitely has had consolidation though down here, and then for it to bump up to 0.362 or whatever. I mean, that's still like not a massive move on where it has been. It has been devalued. It's not one you're going to hold on to more than likely long term. I have no idea about this company or anything about them. Market cap is $3.89 million. Certain traders can accidentally buy that whole company if they inputted their buy order wrong. They could just buy it out. That was not a wise one to trade off of. Let's see if I can find something actually worth the crap to trade off of. Let's check this one out. This one actually don't look half bad in my opinion. Market volume is 35 million shares traded. Strategic advancements in a strong financial position. It's at 310 right now, roughly around that. It's the all-time high. Well, 272 right now, but it did hit 310 or something like that this morning. Realistically, like this one here, 264 and 306 should have been resistance. And you got up to 310. On a statistical basis, that's a better time to start shorting. But again, this one is, I'm sure, hard to borrow. I think Some used to tell you straight up if it was like easy to borrow or hard to borrow. And they took that away. That kind of sucks about it, though. But I can look it up on some other website and see if it's easy to borrow or hard to borrow. Webull used to show it too. Their free float is 196 million, and they've about had that today already, right? how much was it? 35 million. Well, this one is actually, well, only thing that scares me off is the 1 year, 1 day chart. On a statistical basis, 310 is above what it should be trading at. You have positive 4 deviation. The most recent bounce in the year hit 274 at the high within 1, 2, 3, 4 days. So, it might, anything's possible, but I wouldn't want to be buying it up here anyway. Because on a statistical basis, I don't have no reason to maintain a bullish outlook on it. But who the hell knows, I know gold is extremely high, and I think it's overvalued myself. My alert did go off whenever it was at 43.98. My alert was for 43.94 on that day, and you've seen a pullback from there on the 1 year, 1 day chart. Though, like technically, it's the statistical mean right now, 39.96, close to it. So, could be trying to pick up momentum again. Yesterday's nothing but sell volume. Day before that's mostly sell volume. So it's possible that it may bounce here, it may not. I don't really know. You do analysis paralysis is what happens. But it you got it bottlenecked up here. That one looked really good whenever usually anyway, whenever you have that consolidation bottom average daily range hit, the top hit precisely there, then it broke above it, then you get into this bullish momentum. But now you're trading back to where it was at before also, when some traders like stop trading there. So then they can be picking it back up here, because that's where they're like, damn it, I missed that move. So it's possible it's below the bottom average daily range right now, so it's possible it could be picked up. Or right at it. This is more clarifying look at it. So it's, again, like most algorithms aren't going to continue to press this down unless there's some big bad news catalyst. We got a minute and a half till the market opens. You won't see like massive flush, more likely, unless there is some news event. Thinkorswim used to give out news alerts and everything, just read them off to you. I forget what the heck the thing was called. I can't remember. Anyway, there was like a thing built into the system. I think it was in chat rooms. That's what it was. But it was something, well, yes, close. It was in a chat room, and it's like TOS something or other. And you can see the different people that are typing stuff. And there's people in here that might be bored that just like to help out somebody else or give their 2 cents worth or whatever. That they're sharing they're sharing, like, you just copy and paste that and put it into your system, and then it shows like the think scripts and stuff. I don't know if I can even show all this crap or not on here, but it kind of is what it is. But there's like Trader Lounge, 292 people in there, and Global News. Let's see if this has anything cool in it. Well, that's kind of good. Newsbot, deputy head of Ukraine's military intelligence, says Russian production of glide bombs is to reach up to 120,000 in 2025 via Reuters citing sources. So that's kind of unique. or whatever.
Yeah, I got a question. Alright, so I'm on this bill, sorry. I got a funny feeling that.
This is after the market open, 9:30. This is the SPY. Before market open, I said that the shorts aren't going to be shorting very heavily because it's already at a statistical basis where they don't supposed to be shorting much anymore. But the price I had is 661.03. That alert, I was hoping it'd come down to there, but it's basically even back off and recaptured everything. I was in another chat room while ago, and everybody's like, look at all the blood in the market. As soon as the market opens up, it's going to be a bloodbath all day. And see where it comes up to. You just retraced everything. All that bloodbath shit they was talking about just has totally been recaptured. Now, can it, possibly pull back down now? Sure. Anything's possible. But it can also, gravitate back up to the statistical mean today of 673.63. That can happen too. That's all within reason. And that'll put it up to where, on a technical basis, it's supposed to be trading at right now. But I was hopeful it come down to 661, and of course I didn't get hit. But it may hit sometime today. But you can see my rules that come into place. Body never was above the 9 moving average. It never did make a green candle. All sell volume, mostly sell volume. All sell volume, mostly sell, and more buy volume. Then it flips over whenever 935 hits and breaks above the 9 moving average, and you consider that to be more of a bullish way after that. And the bullish volume continues, and then the bearishness stops. So, don't believe all the hype that people say it's a bloodbath or whatever. Anybody that's scared out or whatever is going, again, I was really considering making a trade at 661 today. I was hoping to come down to there, and of course, here I am wasting my time away again, waiting for that level, and then don't get it. That's the name of the game. Again, it still may do it because you recaptured pretty much everything else, every other price action there was today. So, I don't know. Let's look at NVIDIA real quick just for shits and giggles. Look at that go swick. Yeah, that's just did an about face. Again, for earnings, 165 is possible. Is it probable? No. And 217. That's actually like the circuit breaker level 2 right now. That's funny. That's what it came up with for today, and that may continue, especially if NVIDIA stays kind of flat sideways what it is right now, and that circuit breaker level will stay up there as well. And the VIX, it spiked up into market open and did correction. And it's unlikely that it will move mountains right now. But I think, I've recorded for about 54 minutes. Hope you're happy, healthy, well, goodbye.